Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we're doing a no-run-through review for Petrichor. This is actually going to be just over the base game, not the Flowers expansion, not the Cows expansion, not the Honeybee expansion, because I would rather put 3 bullets in my brain than even test this out with any of those expansions. I despise this game. It is so frustrating for many, many reasons, but while I cool off, let's have you guys talk about the positives. What do you guys think that is good about Petrichor?
The art quality is nice.
That was literally going to be my first statement.
Art. That was our thing with In Too Deep. It's pretty.
That
was it.
It's a mirthful theme. It's light.
It is a very unique theme.
It is.
It's light in theme.
Mm-hmm.
Its gameplay does not match its theme.
Right. Which is kind of unfortunate.
Positives. Build quality seems excellent. Nice storage. Very
very
organized.
good. Game tray insert. Everything fits in. Nothing too weird.
Virtually everything except the game. Seems like it's really good.
Yeah, so in case anyone mentions, the expansions fix all that, for 7 years, as long as I've been on this channel, I've always said that expansions shouldn't need to fix games. They should enhance games. So if it's like, oh no, that was a big problem in the base game, if you play with the Honeybee expansion, no. Because that means I have to give more money to the company on something I already dislike.
Right.
So that argument's already out the window. All right. Let's see. I really can't think of a positive in terms of gameplay, because I hate how it plays. Like, I guess a variety in tiles is good. I like the different scoring aspects of the different tiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But that also comes with the negative of, well,
every one of them is how do I screw you?
Right.
I can get some points.
Right.
Or I can just screw you.
Right.
Either way.
Right, and the game's too long. Like you could attribute this same type of cutthroat area control nature to Smash Up, and I love Smash Up, but Smash Up is over like that.
Right.
It's like first one, I think 15
30
points.
minutes.
Yeah, but you also have the variety of card combos. You have ways to counteract what other people do. This one, it's like, where am I in turn order? Oh, I'm last. Okay, yep, I'll just watch you guys fuck me in every way, and I can't do a single thing about it.
Right.
Yeah, even your last ditch effort of, well, I'm just going to pass with all these cards.
Yeah.
To force you guys to only do one more thing, because if you do more, you're going to hurt me more.
Right. I mean, because that was the thing. It's like I'm sitting here like, every action that everyone takes in this game is not, how do I gain from this? It's, how do I fuck over these other players?
Right.
Not in a way that benefits me, unless your way of thinking is hurting them benefits me. Just that action alone.
Yeah.
And it's like...
So people who like that aspect, people who like hitting each other as a game.
Like for game
drafting.
mechanics, hate drafting.
Yeah.
This is hate drafting the game.
This is a game that you want to play with your enemies.
Right, because it's not so much hate drafting in your cards. Obviously, you don't draft your cards.
Right.
And it's because it's not drafting, but it's more of the idea that...
How can I subtract points from an opponent, because their loss of points is my gain of points.
Right, yeah. It's like I'm not gaining points this round, so the only way I can catch up is to cause them to lose points.
Right.
And I despise, that way of playing. If I'm drafting cards in Seven Wonders, and let's say, even if you're going for a science build, and you getting a science card is super good for you, me taking that science away from you, and I don't get anything from it, that's not the way I play. Some people love that. They think, that is a benefit for me. It's like, but you don't inherently gain anything. So if we're playing Seven Wonders again, and it's like, me taking military, it stops you from getting stronger. Well, I'm also gaining more military.
Right.
So now I can compete against that, and it's like, actually, now that I have more military, I beat the person to my left. I'm not beating you, but at least I'm beating them. Yeah. This game has none of that. Right. It's every single action I took, every single harvest, every single win, dumbass weather event was not, I don't think I gained anything from it. Except there was one time where I was like, actually, I can just pop over here and get 8 points. And it's like, or it can cause both of us to gain 8 points. But even that's frustrating because I'm not catching up to you.
It's not even that you gained 8 points, but really I also gained 8 points.
Right.
What you took away was I was going to get 12 points.
Yes.
And
Which actually caused you to lose.
right.
Well,
So that and Brett, taking that one last spot actually
right.
caused him to win.
Right.
Because
Well,
he maxed out. He didn't need the 3 spaces he was going to tie with, but I did.
Right. Right.
So-
and he also gained the second wheat, which was
Right.
12 points.
So there were way too many varieties and things to think about for my own play that I went forward with a strategy of I'm just going to do everything I can to get these bonus points.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I really didn't worry about anything else, and I had 0 points the first, 3 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And think about it, that is such a drastic jump. From you at 15, he got literally 21 more points.
Right. For 3 spaces.
Just for having one more vote.
Right.
It's like,
Which, that wasn't even in my mind at the time. I wasn't even trying to gain those majorities.
I know. Yeah.
I was trying to get one more spot over. Oh, and by the way, it coincidentally gives me 50 more points.
right.
Oh, and I knew I would want more of these.
Right.
But I
Because,
didn't realize that would break it too.
yeah, so
I went from far last place.
you were in 39 and you gained 30. So you literally went all the way up to 75 points.
But counterpoint to it is also, so I went up 2 spots. I went from 6 to 15 points. So I went up 11 points in that
Right.
one round just by having majority. And I saw that. It's like, okay, this is last round, so all them are popping. So it means all majorities now matter. So I went and okay, I need to tie here, and I need to tie here, and I need to tie here.
Yeah.
Just to try
And
and
that
get
could have
all
all
the bonus
changed how
points.
they not passed at the last round.
Right.
I could have, I had 6 cards,
Right.
and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to see how this works. I'm going to see how forcing them to only do one more action, see how that pans out for me. And it didn't. In
Turned out to
any
be
way.
one action later than it needed to be.
Right, but even then, it's like, okay, then I can, the more I'm doing, the more you guys are also doing.
Right.
So this ends up being one of those games where if you're, I hate the card synergy.
Yep.
Because like you were saying, this is an area control kind of Euro game, card game, area control with water droplets. I love the theme, by the way. That's the highest, the best thing. It's so weird, but there's so much random and pointless actions that it becomes extremely frustrating because a Euro game is supposed to be clean, smooth, and here's the engine that I can do. Well, there's no engine in this.
Right.
And literally there was a round, it was after our first harvest, where it was after a harvest where I had no presence on the board. And I was like, you know what, that's fine. Didn't get a single winter card.
Right.
So that in and of itself already sets me behind you guys.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, the 3 other fucking cards I can't do anything with.
Right.
So, and it could have been a lot worse if you couldn't substitute 2 cards for another action. So at least they have that. But the frustrating part is you guys are doing 1 action at a time, hand management, whereas I'm have to burn 2. So that's 2 actions I'm not going to get to do just to get 1 stupid fucking water droplet out.
Yep.
And then that could all be undone by one of you guys playing a wind and just merging with it, and then you just start moving my stuff. So then I'm like, why am I playing? What am I doing here?
Now, I will say, while all those are negatives, if you look at the point spread, it's not far.
No,
And so, and
And we all took
3
radically different routes to get to almost
Right.
the same point.
right.
And so,
Literally, the point spread actually could have been stopped if I didn't pass. Because I probably could have broken a tie on one of those events just to move up. That in and of itself gives me 7 more points, which would have passed you.
right.
It's not that this game is unbalanced.
Right.
It's just, it's fuck you the game.
Right.
But they mask it with clouds.
Well, to be fair,
Which I guess rain is always an inconvenience, so playing this game is an inconvenience.
for a different perspective, I never once, I don't believe that I ever once had the intention of screwing either of you or seeing what I could do to reduce your points. I was always trying to do what was best for me.
Right.
It just ended up screwing you
Yeah.
because that's how the game is played.
I'll say, so I didn't either, but I saw most of the ways, okay, if I do this, there were times where, I thought about, okay, if I take Seth's piece out of there, I screw him, so he's forced to put it back in. But then I thought, but it also then goes to 4, so Seth's like, I don't care anymore.
Right.
Nobody benefits from it.
Right. Well, because that's the thing is like you doing that in terms of the winter or the wind event, you wasted your turn.
Right.
Trying to maximize somewhere else. You moving me out in the hopes that I don't move back in, then all I go is, no, I'll go back in.
Right.
And then we'll get 5 points.
And, I mean, there's multiple times, like, okay, so I knew I had 5 here. I had 1 droplet here. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to help, so if Seth wanted to mess me up, he could, so I just moved 1 in, so
that was my only hope.
Right.
Was, there's 5 there, maybe he won't see it, and I'll just move him out.
Right.
And then it won't harvest.
Right.
But that's another thing. This game immediately becomes, because Brett could have seen that and been like, because I think you moved over here, I think. Brett could have been like, oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to move that one out. And then that forces you to move one, then I go in and just move you out.
The equally good plan would have been doing exactly what Seth did, which was move that 1 droplet in the middle of nowhere up.
Yeah.
And
then we
basically said, guaranteed it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you had knocked me down 4 points, then I would no longer have won.
Right.
Oh,
Either
right.
of you.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like... But every action you do, and this is why this game is so frustrating, it's like, I can do the area control, I can do, the smash-up style points, that's all fine, but it's always at the cost of someone else. And I don't gain anything out of it.
Yeah.
And
there should be more like fire and edged weapons on the artwork.
Chemical warfare.
It doesn't fit the beautiful nature theme.
So, and the thing is,
it
only
is very
the wind.
disjointed, yeah.
So you have 3 cards that basically are all about you. Mm-hmm. And then it's wind. And wind's what fucks up everything else. And so it's like sun doesn't, scorch. Like during this, for the weather event, it's not scorching, it doubles.
Yeah.
Instead of burning stuff down.
Yeah.
Right, instead of removing.
Right.
Yeah, what's also, this is another negative. There's not enough removal.
Right.
Like,
God, yeah.
if you want to be cutthroat, there's the only way to affect anyone's clouds are the winds. The wind of moving them and merging a cloud. Now I have presence, so then I can now we both control where this goes.
Right.
But, unlucky me, I only had 1 wind card. You have 4, so now you really own the cloud. I just get to participate. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. There's no we're all vying for this. Let me play like a sun could be add 2 to one you control or remove 2 to one you control. The only way, because once these are here, they're there.
Right.
And then the weather event is the only way it gets removed, but it barely matters.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe, and that's the only time I ever really find turn order to matter. It's like, I want to go last because that's going off, so I can have final say.
Only during the wind.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe during the sun because you can double up, and so once you hit that double, it spills. But
yeah, and then it's like, and then if a sun's going off and that was their only cloud.
Sure.
But once again, it's extremely cutthroat.
Right.
Almost always to a point of, I really just did that because I had nothing else to do.
Right.
And that just, look at that, it kind of worked out. I feel like if there was more mitigation to fight for area control, imagine if we were playing Kemet, and I put all my troops into one really good area, and that they're there. Sorry, I'm gonna win that.
Right.
What about combat? No, we don't do that here.
Right.
There needs to be a very specific event that happens to have to come out for us to even compete for that area.
And it matters who has turn order for that.
And turn order is so important, and I despise how the turn order works in this game. Because passing is actually a punishment.
Right.
Because if I want to hold on to this to guarantee, because if you pass, you burn your cards.
Yes.
And it's not like I can hold on to these and be like, okay, I'm not going to get much this round, but if I use these cards with other cards next round, oh no, because if I pass and I want to go first, I can't keep these cards.
Yeah. It should be the other way around. That the people not passing get 1 more play and then toss their cards.
Right. Or if everyone just wants to keep their cards and you go down to a hand of 3 or a hand of 4, if I have this and I choose to willingly pass, if I have to get rid of my cards, at least let me hold on to the fucking thing.
Right.
Like, that's so mind-boggling to me. It's like, well, how can we make this game more annoying? Like, I used to think Champions of Midgard. Have you guys played that?
Okay.
I used to think that game was very frustrating because turn order mattered. Because if you're first player, then you're the first one to go to the troll. Therefore, you can pass shame around. And therefore cause a bunch of people to lose points at the end. Well, that really only matters in a 2-player game. In a 3-player game, all the shame kind of evens out.
Right.
So first turn order, you have to go to a spot, and then you get to take it, and you hold on to it. It's not like if you go there and you take it, it's like, oh, I already had it. Oh, here you go, other player. Let me reward you. So stupid.
Yeah.
But the artwork's nice.
I guess, but they also went with the Latin terms of all these plants, and it's like, just say corn.
Yeah.
Like, don't give me Triticum estivum. It's corn. Like, at least put both of them if you want to be scientific about it.
Right.
Yeah, like, this game is just so infuriating.
We'll call it the 3-bullet rule.
Well, I'll say, I mean, someone take this theme and make a better game with it. Because the theme is good. Like, I actually like the
think
theme.
It's neat, yeah.
Now, I will say, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's the air plant, containers that hang, the glass bubbles that they put air plants
gotcha.
in. Okay. And I thought, okay, that's a cool idea. This is a gardening style game. I got that.
No, it's a water droplet.
No, it's a water droplet. Yep.
And it's like, the idea of, like, merging clouds and all, it's like, it's all good in theory. But in practice, here's where I think it's even more frustrating. If you had a set of actions and this was your traditional area control, you get whatever action points and here's what you can do. Fine. But the fact is that your entire strategy hinges on your hand of 7 cards.
Right.
And on the fact that, well, here's the 7 I got. I mean, and the one time I didn't get Frost, that was one time in a 6-round game.
Right.
Like, ever since then, it was always kind of a sampler.
Yeah.
But then, just based off turn order, if I was going last, God forbid you go last in this game. There was one time I had a few areas to control, and I was like, okay, I know what I want to do with that, because what I was going to do, I think you popped here, and I had like 3 wind in my hand. So what I need to do, I need to put, I was going last, I needed to put a cloud down, but then you put one down right here. Right. And I was like, okay, that's fine, I can go up there. And then Brett put one down. So then even me trying to get over to this area was impossible, because I would have had to burn 3 wind cards. I think this was actually the last round. So I'd have to merge, and I'd have to merge, and then I have to merge. And in that entire time, all I'm doing is helping you guys, because then I can't win control. Because I was trying to go for the wheat, and just by you, I want to put a cloud down, just derailed my entire strategy.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I'll pass.
Right.
I don't get to do what I want to do.
And I think it was the last round, because I was seeing the last round, it's like, I had, I think, 3 winter cards. And I was like, okay, winter's going to pop, rain's going to pop, so I need to put as many clouds out on the board everywhere as possible. Because there's a lot that are just, do you control the area? Yep, good, okay.
Yeah.
You're going to score something.
Yeah.
And I don't have to score the top. I just have to score something.
Right. Yeah, and in all the games that that we've played of this, the first person who jumps out to that lead is immediately the target.
Right.
Regardless, because the chances are, it's like, Brett and I were high up on this weather thing for the majority of the game, and it took nothing for you to catch up.
Right.
So this almost becomes a moot point anyway.
I will say, the last round, I strongly focused, like, with spending 2 cards on one action to specifically balance that, because otherwise I wasn't going to get close.
And then the other thing is,
and I never once strategized that.
Right.
But I never tripped a die either. Never once.
Right. Yeah.
All I did was vote for whatever action I wanted to take.
Right.
And it coincidentally worked. My winning is absolute coincidence. I never strategized any of that stuff, honestly.
And I couldn't strategize, because every time someone did an action, it was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's. I guess I just won't get to do what I want to do. Because you have the disjoint. If you're trying to area control for votes, then you have to basically do an action you don't want to take.
Right.
Like, I don't want to move a cloud around, but I want to rain my thunderclouds.
Yep.
Well, I guess I have to just burn this card just to then put 1 vote out.
Yes.
And at first, I was like, that's pretty unique. Okay, that might be an interesting... But then once you play and you realize this game is cutthroat and I guess strategic, then you just waste your entire main game turn all for the end game turn just for it to potentially not even matter.
Right.
Because it's so easy for someone to be like, okay, it's like boom, boom. Like let's say I played all 3 of those win cards. I'd put 3 in there. Nothing stopping you guys from also playing win cards, just to then tie me, and then we both go up. Well, I didn't gain anything because if you're in last place, it's almost guaranteed that you are not bridging that gap.
Right. No, I agree.
Because it's like, I'm gaining 5 there. Oh, you are too. Okay, that's moot. Like, so, where can I try to gain a shit ton of points? Oh, well, that one gives me 7 if I'm in second. Well, I'm the only one there, so that's not giving me 7 points. Like,
right.
It's...
Yeah, that was the most waste is that potato. I had one thing from my turn 1 had dropped on the 2. And because I had 1, nobody else was going to put any on there.
Yeah.
Well, I was at first, and then I went, but I don't want to put more.
Right.
Yeah.
Why the hell would I want
like,
to put the 2 that would make it actually score points?
To give him 7 points. It's almost like they wanted people, because the board is very tight. It's only 9 tiles. Yep. It's almost like they wanted people to constantly be moving clouds into each other, fighting to be the one with the least points. You know when I have never done that in Smash Up? Ever. I never. If that one has the most score, like if first place is 4 points and second place is 6, I never try to get second. Because it's almost guaranteed to never happen. It's like a happenstance of, this one busted.
Which is what happened the first time I played. I just, again, without really thinking about it, I just did, and I ended up getting second, and that gave me an early lead.
What you do for the potato in that case is you merge with someone, and then you move that cloud around, and then, rain's going off, boom, it drops, and then look at that. Now I have the second most there, that's 7 points for me.
Right.
But because it's so obvious.
Unless we get to move one drop to another tile.
And then I move it back.
Right.
But it's so obvious that that's what someone's doing, so unless you have to hope that they don't have a win card, but because you could pay any 2, that it's like, I'm going to do there, they can be like, I see what you're doing. I'm going to play a win and move that down.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And in the meantime, we're all just jockeying for majority because we're doing the same action.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't you can strategize for one or the other, but very rarely do you get to actually capitalize off of both.
Right.
And another thing that's frustrating about this, we'll actually talk about the harvest in a sec, but if you basically have majority in an area, it's scoring.
Yeah.
There's nothing anyone can do unless all players just look at that one area and they're like, well, we can't let him get 5 points. Okay, I'll move him out, you move him away. And then that means that we're tied and we both get 1. You don't get any points for it, but you stopped one of us from getting 4.
Right.
It's just dog shit.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the harvest? Like the harvest phase, the fact that there isn't a harvest phase every round. Potentially not a harvest phase every round, because you can at least get a point if you take a die down. Or
it's too tough to get those down to
if they're like 4
on a regular basis.
Yeah. If they're like at 4, it's like
So that's why I realized too late. Like I didn't realize it till turn 3 that votes were more important than taking that thing down.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I had all of my water out on the board, and I could effectively not play cards.
Right.
For an entire turn.
Yeah.
I had no drops.
Right.
And
so it's like, okay. Because if that's the case, you just play the card to place a vote.
Right.
Right.
And
it's mostly what I did.
It's like, because it's like, they wanted it to be like, okay, this will gain you some points, but it's 1 point. It's not going to matter. So then, okay, well, there wasn't a harvest, so let's roll. Okay, now there's guaranteed a harvest. Or it could be the complete opposite. It was at a 1, it gets re-rolled, then it rolls to a 4.
I would say there should be at least 2 before the final round.
Right, like, I could see that. I don't know how they fix the dice.
Yeah.
Like, I would almost rather it be every 2 rounds. 2, 4, and 6.
I would say get rid of the dice.
You're guaranteed a harvest.
I don't know what the dice do for
thematically supposed to represent.
Well,
if
you score a point.
Growing?
You score a point for getting it closer.
Yeah.
So that's actual points.
Right.
But it's not. But it's 1 point.
But you know what's frustrating
it's
about
not
that
enough
too?
to care.
Me ticking it down is basically guaranteed. Now I made it easier for you guys to take it down to the harvest and get 2 points.
Exactly.
Now I'll even argue this. So yes, it's 1 point. If I put a vote higher, as long as I'm past the first point, it's 2 points for every vote that gets higher.
It jumps
basically,
2,
and more.
then 3, then
And
4.
that's why-
oh wait, 5.
and that's why I didn't
6,
bother the entire
7.
game.
Oh,
I
it
never
goes up
once-
by
It
increments.
just goes by the
I know I didn't catch that the first time.
And so I'm like, that's why when I realized on turn 3 that taking it down was a pointless fact.
Right. The only way you would rush the harvest dice is when you are like, I need 1 to get beats back,
Right.
or 2, like I will win this, and no one will capitalize off of it. Like for example, if wind wasn't going off, and I wasn't able to jump in there and prevent you from getting 4 points, that would be the only reason you would rush a harvest. So this goes off, you're guaranteed 12 because we can't affect it in any way.
Right. Which is why I did turn 2 when it went off. Because I did take it down to get the harvest.
Right.
And there was no win, and so nobody's going to collect my 12.
Oh, right. Yeah, at the very beginning. Right.
Right. Turn 1, turn 2.
But there is a good mitigation of that strategy in that the 2 that actually scored and people benefited from all get removed. The ones that are left
they'll stay.
get to stay, and so you've already got a huge advantage if you did it before. But it doesn't happen often enough.
Right, and what's
Doesn't
also,
matter.
to tie off of that, let's say I have 2 in rain and Zach has 1.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any win cards. So now I can't ensure my my lead of that. Oh, you guys got wind? Well, now you guys actually steal it from me, even though I spent those votes last round. So actually, like, it's a perpetual waste of actions.
Yep.
And that did happen to me a few times by being like, well, the cards I have and the way that the board is laid out, I can't ensure I'm going to win that. So, in fact, there was one time where I think you guys were gaining on me in Sun. This was when I won Sun by myself. And I literally just burned 2 cards every time I do Winter just to win Sun. I didn't give a fuck about my clouds on the tiles. I was like, I need to keep this lead because Zach's at 15, I'm at 3, and Brett's at 0. So it's like I need to try and catch up and try and win through endgame.
Right.
And it didn't work anyway.
Right.
Obviously, passing when you have 6 cards that's not the way to go. I was more just curious as to how that was going to happen because I might have been able to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would have tied with him because I probably could have won one of those.
Mm-hmm. Which just encourages spending 20 minutes to do all the math before you take your last 3 rounds, 3 turns.
There's very few games where I will do that, where it's like where the game ends based off how the players are playing. Like players dictate when the game ends, and I can't think of those games off the top of my head. But yeah, we'll all sit there and be like, okay, this might be a risk because I don't want to be like, okay, so he's gonna end with 60 points. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and do that. It's like I want to just kind of have a guess and be like, I might win if I end it now.
Right.
Okay, let's just try it. And then sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
But that's when everyone's controlling the end of the game. I refuse. Very rarely does almost every action in this game just make me more and more mad. Like, because I will say it's not a long game. Like, that is a benefit. But because I'm miserable the entire time, where it's like, okay, I got shit on. Oh, look, more shit.
It's not a short game, though.
It is not. It's not. It's, but it...
It's not 3 hours.
It's not 3 hours. It's probably, I think it's about an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just... there are games that I could be like, you know what, I can handle some randomness, but if you're trying to be extremely strategic, but you also make it cutthroat and also make it random in what you're trying to do, that's just misery for me.
Yep.
You guys got anything else?
Nope.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. Which is weird because actually we did a 3-player short game. So it only goes to 4 rounds. And I was like, maybe Maybe it's just not because, like, when you play Dinosaur Island, or for example, you do a short game. Never do a short game because you can't play the game really. So you do a medium or a long game. And for me, Dinosaur Island's fantastic. So you just don't play the short game. And I thought maybe that's the same with this. Just don't do the short game. Maybe the longer it is, the more actions you get to get, the more area control. For me, it just made it longer, and I was more mad. Because I remember whenever we were actually sitting here trying to get anything out. Every time it was like trying to maneuver, it's like, you know what, let's try and get some benefit from this. Right. What's the best optimal move for someone to move a cube?
And we strategized together how to screw each of us the most.
Right. Well, if you do this, that'll cause me to lose 4 points. You don't get anything out of it, but but you make me lose 4 points.
So what's interesting is when we did that is when you guys' short game will have ended because it was turn 4.
Yep.
Oh, right.
And so basically by turn 4 we had all come to the conclusion that I think we're just kind of done. Like
Right.
we're going to finish it,
Right.
but
And I think Brett still would have won that because
I think so.
he would have. He was. We were like down here,
Yeah.
and he was like I think on 28 or on
I want to say
20.
I was still on 3.
Yeah, right. So he was still higher up on that,
Yeah.
and I think he had a week.
That was my only long-term strategy, literally.
No, and that's what I go for.
Yeah.
Like those are in-game victory points are what I go for. So whenever we got done with our first game of this, I was like, you know what? I want to try the expansions. I don't. I
Not
really
even
don't.
the cow,
Nope.
because that's methane.
Nope. I mean, yeah, that's methane. And that's another board. It looks like it just makes it more. It does add climate events. So like, but it's all centered around methane. Like you can have scorching, warm, temperate, cold, and frozen kind of climate events. There's a harvest bonus, but if literally someone comes in and they're like, I promise, I swear to fucking God, that if you play with the honeybee expansion, all your problems are resolved, then I'd be like, you know what? Let's try it. But I can't imagine that they made these mini expansions and radically changed it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
scale of 1 to 10. Zach.
2.
2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! It wasn't that bad. 3.
No, I'm good with my 2.
Halfway between it should have never existed and it's not awful.
God. It's not a 1 because you can technically play it.
Right.
It does inherently work.
It's 2, honestly, because of the art for me.
I can't so
Story
radic-
solution?
I've given one game a 1, and that was more out of frustration. And I haven't given a game a 1 since. I've given a few 2s. I'm gonna give it a 2 as well.
Yep.
And the reason is because if I'm mad while playing a game, not like mad at what a player has done. Like if TI and someone comes in and fucks me over,
Right.
at least if there's a good reason. If they're just like, I just fucking hate you and I'm gonna attack you, and then I'm like, so you're a dick. That's it. Yeah. No, if there's a good reason, then I'm like, damn, that sucks. That kind of screws me over super bad. But in this game, I know for a fact none of you had any ill intentions. It was just the actual mechanics of the game that I'm like,
Turn 4, we're all arguing how to screw me over. I'm arguing the hardest of how to screw myself
it's like, this is the
over.
best bet. Well, it wasn't even like, hey, this is what screws me. It was like, this is what your most optimal moment is. Yeah, you don't get you don't get anything. You get the satisfaction of making me lose 4 points.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, I can also just punch you in the throat,
Right.
and then I'll get the same type of feeling. Yeah. So if I'm just over it halfway through the game, yeah, I think I'm also going to agree with Zach. I'm going to take it down to a 2.
Yeah.
Because at this point, production quality, this isn't the bar, this is the standard.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's really good, and I'm super glad they fit all the mini expansions. They took it into consideration. Some companies don't, Cool Mini or not, and Fantasy Flight. But almost everyone else does it. Gugong, Yido, not Viticulture, Vindication, those kind of, they're all doing it. So it's like, oh, well, this doesn't get an extra point because of that. Funny enough, I think Mighty Boards is just a company I'm going to stay away from. I think I've always just not liked their designs. So, yeah. That's our thoughts on Petrichor, the base game. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.